I was inspired to make this video due to another video that I came across titled The Degeneracy of Modern Writing. Naturally, as a reader, I clicked on the video, curious to find out exactly what the creator was talking about or what she had to say about modern writing. And I quickly found myself agreeing with most of what she had to say. In summary, the video discusses how the quality of modern writing, when we think of plot, pacing, character development, etc., has gotten worse over the years. It's gotten worse over the years in favor of more explicit content, if you catch my drift. And these are usually used as a crutch to sell books rather than focusing more so on the quality of books. And she recognizes that this issue is mostly plaguing women's literature. I won't go into too much detail about what the video is about. She talks about it in a lot more detail than I can do, so I would suggest that you go and find the video yourselves, and I will click the video in the description below. Upon reflecting on this video, not only did I agree and recognize that women's literature is practically plagued by explicit activities or adult content, but I also recognize this in movies and television, especially those that are targeted towards women, for example, rom-coms. The quality of the plot, the character development, and the connections between the characters in films and television are somewhat subpar in Western media, and that is due to the heavy reliance of these explicit activities, these adult activities, and they use this to somewhat sell to the audience or to entice the audience to view the film or television show themselves. And because of this, and because of me recognizing this, which explains the title of my video, I want to discuss to understand the appeal of romantic K-dramas compared to films, let's say the most recent one that we had, which is my Oxford year. One thing I find particularly annoying in Western media, especially when it pertains to the romance genre, is this kind of conflating between romance and sex as almost one and the same thing. Sometimes in some films, they will completely replace the romance and just for the sex and convince us that somehow this is romance and the characters have a deep connection that we are supposed to believe as the audience. And because of this, although there are worse offenders, that was one of my issues with my Oxford year. Aside from the problematic depiction of student-professor relationships, which, by the way, I just learned that it wasn't until 2023, so 2 years ago, that Oxford University had prohibited student-professor relationships. And that's only because women have come out, protested against the sexual harassment that they've been facing by the professors. So yikes. Other than that, and the problematic power dynamic between the two characters, my Oxford year was not good. The romance was shallow, unbelievably shallow. The chemistry between the two characters were not there. It seemed like the male lead only liked the girl because 1, she's hot, 2, she's American, an American amongst a sea of British accents in Oxford. And for the female lead, the only reason why she liked the guy is because 1, he's hot, 2, he's got a hot British accent, and 3, evidently, he's a part of the British upper class. Yeah. This film was basically Emily in Paris, but the Oxford edition. Now, when we go back to the romance, at least their attempt to create some type of romantic connection, the one thing I can remember as what you could describe as romantic is the scene where they are in a seminar and they're flirting with each other. And instead of me thinking this is romantic, this is chemistry, which they don't have, it was very awkward. I felt bad for the other students. I could only imagine working really hard to get into Oxford, only to come across my lecturer and another student having this weird flirty banter. I would be very uncomfortable and very annoyed that I'm having my time wasted. My Oxford year, we're supposed to believe in the romance, but it's not believable. And if we think about it, what do they have in common outside of literature? Secondly, they just have physical connection. And this is depicted throughout the months, like through a montage. It's alluded to that they are sleeping together. But again, this is an example of romance being replaced with physical connection. In fact, their connection didn't make sense. That when it came to the part that we find out that the guy had cancer, it wasn't as devastating as the filmmakers would expect us to be. It wasn't as, oh no, they won't be together, this is heartbreaking, I feel so sorry for the girl, because they made it very clear that this was only a physical interaction between each other, and also made it very clear that he did not want to be her boyfriend. So when she comes in and bursts through, all I could think about, as harsh as it could seem, all I can think about is, this man is not your boyfriend. Why are you so pressed? When she later decides to give up her job at Goldman Sachs, it doesn't give romantic, it gives very desperate. When it comes to the girl wanting the guy, but the guy doesn't want her, I can only think of Bridgerton season 1 with Daphne and Simon. I did not like it. Many times he's made it evident to her that he doesn't want her, and it just kind of becomes slightly like a humiliation ritual. It's replacing that, the romance, the romantic tension, the connection between them, just for the sexual aspects. And that's not it. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't make me feel anything. And because of that, I'm having my tangent with Bridgerton. If I were to compare Bridgerton season 1 to Bridgerton season 2, I found season 2 so much better. And that is because the writers, looking at season 1, reflecting maybe on the feedback that the audience had, they really focused on that connection, that chemistry. That was a lot more believable compared to Simon and Daphne, where they were not equals. Kate and Anthony in season 2 were equals. They understood each other as the elder siblings of their family, and that responsibility and duty that they had to take care of their family. Their connection, their romance, naturally being drawn towards each other made a lot more sense compared to Bridgerton season 1. Overall, me going over Bridgerton is just to make clear that it's not all Western media, it's not all romance coming from Hollywood. I would just say it's a lot more hit or miss. With my Oxford year and with Bridgerton season 1, that was an example, in my opinion, of a miss. So if I were to consider my Oxford year and I were to compare it to, let's say, a K-drama, and the K-drama I can think of is Love Next Door, and I'm using that because I am recently rewatching it again, and compared to my Oxford year, I think it's leagues better. I would like to say that it could be unfair for me to compare Love Next Door because it is a series and my Oxford year is a movie. If I were to consider them having time to develop connection, I guess you could say it's much easier to do so when it comes to a 16 episode series compared to a 2-hour movie. Now, I would like to say before I delve into Love Next Door, just because I'm discussing in some ways why K-dramas, romantic K-dramas are better than romances, rom-coms that's produced by Hollywood, let's say, that doesn't go without saying that there are some problematic natures of romantic K-dramas, especially on how they depict abusive tendencies as romantic. K-dramas, they're not exempt from criticism. They have been very problematic. So, Love Next Door, if I were to describe it in a trope, it's friends to lovers, childhood friends to lovers. The romance is much better. Maybe I might be unfair to my Oxford year because it's only 2 hours. Not only when it comes to the friends to lovers, and we are able to believe their connection, because first of all, we get flashbacks to their childhood and we can see how they became friends, why they continue to be friends. And because of that, we see the chemistry between the characters. The chemistry could almost be believed, especially when the characters are adults, mainly due to the chemistry between the two actors. We also believe that connection. We believe the reasons why they like each other. And also through that flashback, we also see that point where they start to like each other and why they start to like each other as well. So not only with that, we also see again any common interests that they have with hobbies. The female lead, Bae Seung-Ryu, she likes to read a lot of manhwas, so like Korean type of mangas. And then in turn, the male lead, he likes to read with her as well. They share their love for banana milk, and that is also a staple in their childhood. So as adults, they will have banana milk as a point of bonding between them, and that is also continued as well in their romantic relationship when their friendship turns into romance. With that shared common interest between them, we're also seeing romantic gestures between the two characters. So the male lead, Chesung, he is an architect, and his way to show his love for Bae Seung-Ryu is to build her stuff, whether it's to redecorate her room or whether it's to build her a restaurant because she learns that she loves to cook and she wants to become a cook. And then later on in the end, when he builds her a home for them to be in together. And that is kind of reciprocated by Bae Seung-Ryu as well, where she cooks for him as a way to show her love for him, as an act of service that is shown between the two of them. We also have just good old-fashioned slow burn, and I think that is lost in Western media, especially in the romance genre. We're very quick to depict couples just hooking up instead of just taking the time to build tension, chemistry, romance. And if I were to make a comparison between my Oxford year and Love Next Door, my Oxford year has that reveal of the male character who is sick, and that is somewhat similar in Love Next Door. The female character, Bae Seung-Ryu, it was later revealed that she had stomach cancer. When that is revealed to Chesung, he finds out, so she doesn't tell him. That revelation is a lot more devastating for the audience compared to my Oxford year. And that is because we had time to see the romance build. We had time to see that the reason why Chesung is so devastated to find out that someone he loves had stomach cancer and he wasn't there for her is because she has been a staple, an important person in his life. She's his childhood friend. She's almost family to him. And then when he recognizes it, he sees it, and then he's crying. It's like, why didn't you tell me? We see his anger, we see his pain, and we see his regret for not being there for her when she was at her lowest point in her life. That was devastating. But when it came to my Oxford year, it sounds bad, but I was like, wow, that's sad. Good luck to you. I will be going back to America to Goldman Sachs. Deuces. It sounds horrible, but when you don't spend time establishing that, the romance, the connection, making me care as to why I want these two people to be together, I won't care if this guy dies. Because I don't know him. To be honest, the female character doesn't really know him too. And even later on, when Bae Seung-Ryu rejects Chesung's proposal, and she expresses her concern, saying, look, I had cancer before. It could come back. And I don't want you to put you through that. I don't want you to be with me, and then it could come back and you're going to possibly watch me maybe die. But then he responds and saying, I think I'm paraphrasing, or maybe I made this up in my mind, whether it's 1 year or 10 years, no matter how long it is, I still want to be with you. The conclusion is the romance that's made by Hollywood, it's not making us feel. I don't feel anything other than annoyance, other than embarrassment, other than secondhand humiliation. Embarrassment and humiliation, same thing. We don't feel moved. We don't feel a connection between the characters. We don't understand why they're together. Not impactful. And for us to view, whether it's to read or to view a romance, and you want us to get on board with a romance, we need to feel something. And when it came to my Oxford year, I felt nothing. I'll see you in my next video.